Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. Once again, we have another live episode. I believe it's our last one from the Big Sky Comedy Festival in Billings, Montana. Once again, we want to extend a very big thank you to the entire staff, the festival, the city, everybody from the hotel maid to the main judges of the competition. We want to say thank you. On this particular episode, this one is a special episode. We have Brian Baldinger, who is a producer for shows like The Comedy Underground with Dave Attell, Comedy Central's This Is Not Happening, and he is associated with Starburns Media, which is Dan Harmon. So if there's any Harmontown fans out there, this is one of his producers. And we also have some amazing comics. We have Missy Grynkiewicz Hall, who stops by to talk to us. We have Missoula's own Zac Allen. And once again, Nick Guerra is back to co-host. So if you guys are interested in hearing some of our final recordings from the Big Sky Comedy Festival, please check out this episode. And once again, our next live show is going to be this Thursday at the Ha Ha in North Hollywood. That is this Thursday, November 15th. At the Ha Ha. You better be there. For more information on that show or any of our future shows, please check out our website, comedypopupla.com. All right, let's start the show.
We have a new guest joining us.
Yeah, that's right.
Please jump on the mic. Tell us who you are and what brings you here.
Hey, I'm Brian Baldinger. I'm one of the judges.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure going on right here at this point in time.
I'm fine with it, actually.
It's nice to have you on here, Brian. Brian, actually, we had lunch yesterday, and he suggested I quit my podcast. So
I've told you that too. 2 days in.
I've known Mark for 3 days, and he's been very discouraging.
Quit. Brian,
Yes.
how many years have you been attending as a representation, as a judge to
Big Sky?
Yes.
This is my third time here. I was here the first year, and I was here last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you say I want to come?
I always find talent that I use here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody you'd like to say?
Yeah, Corey Rodriguez won last year, and I had him on Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks on True TV.
Yeah, of course,
this
great,
thing
man.
aired. Yeah.
Yeah. So then
That's a
you
great
actually are
example.
like, you know what? I'm gonna find some people. Is there anybody that you found that didn't make it to the finals that you're like, this is a talented person?
Yes, for sure. I talked to people. I mean, like, I can't even. Was Michael Longfellow here?
No, he was here, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was here. I found him first, and I used him
He was
on
at Laughing
comics to
Skull-
watch.
Laughing Skull and then here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's right. And then he got
Yeah.
put on Conan or Fallon?
Conan. Yeah, JP used him. Yeah.
He used him.
So what have you have done a lot in show wise?
Right.
You know, what are the shows? Like I've only heard like two,
Like
but
the highlights or whatever of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
career. I booked I booked Kimmel for a while. I booked the comics on Kimmel for a couple of years or so back a while ago. I booked This Is Not Happening, the storyteller show on Comedy Central. I just did Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks. I booked season 3 of Meltdown. I booked Comedy Underground with Dave Attell. Right now, I'm director of development of a podcast network, and I booked the New York Comedy Festival.
insane.
There's a lot.
Yeah, this is very.
How did
this
you
is an
even?
insane list.
How did you even get into this, man? I
got a job at the Improv in 1998 as the showroom manager for $7 an hour. It's my first job in LA. I moved out there with my roommate. I didn't know anybody, and I thought I was going to try to be a movie star, and I was a fan of comedy, but I didn't think I was ever going to work in it. And I got that job, and I really fell in love with the art form and how it could move people and how easy it was and how connected you could be to an audience and also started to pay attention to like why things worked and didn't, because I had a really up close front row seat to that.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing people every night, the same person, different crowd, or they bring a different attitude and it goes so different.
Yeah.
And I could start to key off of why that's happening. And like, the job itself was pretty simple. So that was like something that I could put my attention into.
Yeah.
And they also like had us like kind of like rate how the comics did. So like people were just writing like you know, a number or whatever, but like I started to like write in the margins and like get really into it for like the booking department. And then Erin von Schoenfeld like took a shine to me and like helped me, and she and I booked like a new talent showcase, and that would have been like 99 or something.
Yeah.
And on that was Steve Byrne, Joe Coy, and Zac Galifianakis.
Insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
And
you've seen the resurgence, the weird boom that did happen. Take us through that, because when did you start working with the improv? What year was that?
That was 98.
So
98 to, like,
98.
2000. I was a
So
show
you've
manager.
seen 98 to this time.
Yeah.
What has been the standout?
Well, the internet. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was an assistant in an agency when we had to mail the contracts in the mail.
Oh, really?
And then when they arrived and we had to adjust them, we took whiteout and we put them in the typewriter.
Really?
What's a typewriter?
Yeah, and then we had to put them in a file cabinet.
I think it's that show that Jamie Flan runs.
Nice. Yeah, the agent who was like the most forward thinking used a fax machine. She was
Cutting
like the
edge
cutting
technology,
edge.
yeah.
She's like, you can instantly get there in 5 minutes. Okay, so then you kind of saw it, you know, I mean, what it's become now. Like I tell people, you know, the boom has become not so much like rock stars. It's become there's a genre for every type of comic now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
and
the boom.
The niches are are booming. Like,
Yeah.
you can connect to your people, and you just talk right to them, and they can talk to you. They have an expectation that you're going to have there's going to be a back and forth. It's not like you're a showpiece on a shelf anymore. You know what I mean? Like they can engage with you, and you can engage with them. And you don't need to go through any of the traditional modes of you know, the networks and everything. I think that's been said to death, but it's very true, and it just keeps on getting more true.
Yeah. We're all SoundCloud rappers right now.
Yeah.
We're all. I'm hoping to be Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Where in that, if I may, where in that process did you stop wanting to be a movie star?
I had a commercial. I had an acting career. I did about 5 years of commercials.
Simultaneous to this comedy booking or before?
Yeah, it was like before. It was while I was around as a comedy guy and like doing this stuff but not getting paid for it. And it was like my true passion was acting. And I started working. I did about 30 nationals in 5 years.
Amazing.
But then 1 year it just stopped entirely. And that at the same time, I was starting to get some actual like real opportunities in booking. Like Montreal was ready to use me as, instead of just a staff guy, like actually helping be one of their consultant scouts, you know, after 7 years of staff for them. You know, and so like that was around the same time that like acting career was dying, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be happy if the power is going to be entirely out of my hands for my entire career. I have to be able to take control of this thing in some way, and so I think I can control this, and I love this, and I'm going there. I'm going to walk towards this.
Do you know what changed that year that you're like, did you get a different haircut or something? Like, what makes that change? I don't know anything about the acting world. What makes that change like that?
I quit drinking.
And you got fewer commercials after that?
No. Oh, what changed about my
Yeah, what changed about you that made your career switch so abruptly?
I was warned about this by an agent. See, an acting commercial career is like, it's got a term. It's like your look is in and then it's out.
Whoa.
And like my look was like schlubby beer friend guy, and like, you know, with a goatee, and then it was a look they wanted, and they booked the shit out of it, and then they were like, no, we're not doing it anymore. Also, I was in so many commercials that I got some people being like, they would call it, you have dollar signs on your face. Like they're going to recognize you from that other spot. They don't want somebody they want to recognize from that other spot.
But it's like the schlubby goatee look, just one day no one needed anymore.
Nobody wanted it ever again.
Weird. That's also surprising because you are so unschlubby. Like you are.
Oh, I'm definitely schlubby.
No, you are well coiffed.
I remember someone telling me once, like, there's real life schlubby. You know, like real life office, and then there's
like TV
schlubby. You know, like still pretty enough.
I can see that.
You're too pretty for real life schlubby, but you're perfect for TV schlubby. You know what I'm saying?
Man, what a weird mixed compliment that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a lot of weird mixed compliments. My favorite is when you go to an audition place where they're auditioning a bunch of different things. One time I went in and I like lined up behind all these like beautiful model dudes, and one of them's like, I think you're over there. And I see there's like literally a bunch of people who play aliens in the Men in Black movies. You know what I mean? Like everybody's got like a long neck or I'm like, God damn it, I am over there.
You were in the circus crew. Oh man.
Great.
What a brutal thing. Do you do now that you're booking? Do you pass those along? Do you have weird mixed compliments for people?
No, I pretty much take I pretty much, if I think that somebody looks like somebody else, I keep that to myself. Because I know that nobody wants to hear that unless you say it's Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So you booked a lot of different shows, and these days it seems like shows can pop up, go away pretty quickly. How hard is that to like have that longevity that you've had to like keep booking different shows as they come and go?
Good question, co-host.
Well, it's like I think I benefit from the fact that there's just not a whole lot of people who do exactly what I do. Like it's a pretty because part of the reason is that it's a lot of dues paying before you start to work in this realm. Like, you know, I was working for free for like, I don't know, like almost a decade. And so that's
as a talent booker.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, free or might as well be free.
Man, it's just interesting because I mean, obviously that's what we do as well, as we are here for free. Right. So that's interesting to know that the bookers have also done that same sort of a process as we have.
Well, I say, you know, what people don't realize about the entire industry is we're all contract workers.
Yeah.
We're all working on the next project, hoping for the next gig, hoping. And you know, if you don't book your next 6 months, then you're unemployed.
So while you're booking the show, you're also trying to you're also booking your next contract, booking a different show.
Yeah, that sounds
exhausting.
Well, I try to keep a couple of things going at once and just make sure that they don't have that there's not a conflict.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about right now with podcasting and comedy is that they fit really well together and they support each other and they very rarely put you in a position where you feel like you have a conflict of interest.
I think I cut you off while you were answering Mark's question about what else made you
like have the longevity.
Success. And part of it is keeping the three balls in the air all the time.
Yeah, and just be nice to people and talk to people and keep keep contacts up and be around.
Well, this might be an appropriate place then. What got you into that comedy switch? What got you, or into the podcasting switch? What got you in? Well, Mark, Mike just got wrenched away. Oh, there's a new mic. Okay,
I just switched out. That's all.
I'll just keep popping in this way. See, I'm playing the host of the get together. Like, okay, sit down. There you go. Go ahead.
Host and producer.
So, what brought you into the podcasting realm then?
A meeting.
A meeting?
Yeah, George. I've been working for. You know who Dan Harmon is?
Yeah. I believe everyone does.
I don't think everyone does, but
he's a very famous man.
He's a famous man, but I don't think he's exactly a household name. But he's definitely famous. I do some work. I've been doing some work for him for a couple of years on. For example, Harmon Quest, which is a show where he plays Dungeons and Dragons with celebrity guests, and I booked that show. Yeah. And so he also owns a podcast network where Harmontown is on, and it was through those connections, I believe, when they needed somebody to come and do the talent and the development kind of stuff for that podcast network. We met, and it was a match, and yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. You do seem like you would get along well with Dan Harmon. I can just tell.
I get along with him. Well, I mean,
weird mixed compliment.
That was a weird mix. Yeah, like I believe those are your type of friends.
Getting the Dan Harmon line.
Dungeons and Dragons or what?
Yeah, there's a bunch of things.
Let's introduce our joining guest.
Yeah,
come on, Alex.
Missy, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what brought you to us.
Hello, I am Missy Grynkiewicz Hall, soon to drop the Grynkiewicz. I just got married 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm having fun here at Big Sky. I'm a comic out of Delaware.
Wait, you're going to give up Grynkiewicz?
I am going to give up Grynk. I gave up the guy, might as well give up the name.
Oh, this was his name. Okay, good.
Yeah. I've had
because that is a fun name.
Yeah, it's fun to bring up on stage. Really, Missy Malone Vestal Grynkiewicz Hall.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm not young. I think all of us get a couple starter marriages.
You've earned it.
Yeah.
Just 2 weeks ago, though, and then you immediately came to Montana to hang out with us.
Yes. Yep. And he's like, okay, we'll get married, and then I'm going to go to Montana, and then we're going to go on a cruise next month, so that's all good.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't your honeymoon, just here by yourself? Without him?
Actually, I'm not going to lie. There's an element to, just going to sleep. He's 13 years younger than I am. So it's nice to just sleep.
So he's 12.
Yeah, he's 12. Oh, you're so good. Keep that. That's good.
This guy needs to be a host or something.
Yeah. He's very good.
He's got some podcast experience. So you came here just after that. You left him behind. You left your dogs behind.
And my daughter.
And your
Can't forget that I have a child.
We were walking over here, and you were like, man, I miss my dogs. Did not mention your just married husband or your daughter.
Let's be clear. I miss them dearly.
Yes.
However, I can communicate with them. I can FaceTime. I can talk. They are fully aware that I'm alive.
Yes.
I know my dog thinks I'm dead.
Yeah.
And it's breaking my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
It's breaking my heart.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, your
That's
dog
true.
for sure thinks you're dead right
Yeah. I mean, they keep sending me pictures of him. He's literally been on the couch looking out the window since I left. It's heartbreaking.
I FaceTime with my cats.
Do you?
Do you really?
Yep.
Do they respond? I mean, I know they don't.
They can
you
kind of tell.
Do they kind of?
How did you teach him how to
tell.
use the phone? That's incredible.
His
Paw
cats have
print recognition
thumbs.
on the
Yeah.
iPhone just unlocks it
That's
still.
amazing.
But they hear your voice and they get happy.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I mean, that it's a little different with cats. I feel like your dog would be stoked about it, but your cat is going to eat your face as soon as you die within minutes. Like it's
That's a misconception about
It
cats.
is. I have
Really? You
four
People think
cats.
that about cats because cats, you can't read their faces like you can read dogs' faces. I'm a dog person, grew up a dog person. I'm also now a cat person because I've been converted because my wife had cats.
and because we don't have to separate. You can like two things.
They love you.
Yeah.
They do. I have
No,
four
they love you.
cats
They
as
just
well.
they just have a harder time showing it because their faces are not as emotive.
You said that so genuinely, but the words sound like a thing of somebody who's trying to convince himself that a
You want me to
cat
tell you what my
loves him.
cat does every night?
I can't wait.
Okay, so when I'm in bed and like playing Hearthstone on my iPad, as soon as my wife goes to sleep, one of my cats crawls up my body, steps over the iPad so that he's like on my neck, and just puts his face, pushes his nose onto my nose, and just purrs,
Yeah.
and just starts nuzzling my face as hard as he can, and he does it, and then he lies down on my neck and just purrs onto my neck every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cat, I had to give up my cat for comedy because, I decided in order to make it work, I had to live out of a suitcase. So for 3 years, I lived out of a suitcase.
You could
I had
just
to give up
poke
my
air
cat.
holes in it.
No, I knew. I
Cat
knew
could live in a suitcase.
I knew it was selfish to be gone for 2 weeks
Yeah.
and not have anyone be able to really take care of the cat. So I had to give it up, right? But yeah, they're great. The best thing is like I would sit on my bed and he would just be like, "Time to go. Can't wait to sleep with you. Can't wait to cuddle." And it's the best feeling to see a cat like, "Oh my God, it's time. Let's do it." You know? And they just instantly like, "I'm next to you." The end. Dogs are like, "Come on, keep touching me." This and that. Cats are like, "I'm next to you."
Yeah, I'm here.
We're a pack.
just chilling.
We're good.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing because I have a 2-year-old daughter and she does not exhibit any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I come home and she does not give a shit that I was gone at all. Doesn't want to see me. She just wants to go watch TV or something.
You're
get some
playing
fruit
Hearthstone on
snacks.
your iPad. She's playing Fortnite on hers.
She climbs
She's
up
like-
just to steal the iPad and play something different.
She's like, I just want Mom. Right? Yeah, I know.
That'll change.
Should have gotten cats instead of daughters. Damn it.
If your wife,
They're not actually that different when they're teenagers than your cats. So you'll have it. You'll have
your
it.
daughters will probably also switch from your wife to you later on.
I hope.
is my
That's what I've been
understanding.
told.
Yeah.
I've been trying to play the good cop and talk shit about mom a lot.
Trust
hasn't
me.
You got a
worked yet.
2-year-old daughter and you're talking shit on your wife
Like,
to
I
her.
don't know why she yelled at you like that. Just you can have all the candy you want, but
When your daughter is 13, she's going to hate her mother. She
Good.
will be
for
more
sure.
than happy to spend time with you.
For sure. Do you have kids?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. We will. We don't know when, but we will. I
Is
think.
it? May I ask? Is it stability related? Because that's.
what?
Is it stability related? Is it career related? Because that's
Why
something
we
I
haven't
think
yet?
about this a lot as
Well,
a
I've only
comic.
been married for 3 years.
yeah, you gotta have that time like
I was
together
pretty single
first. And
dude for a long, long
I
time.
am.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna do it, but we're getting a late start.
Yeah. Do you guys? So you guys then being on the road this much, is that especially difficult with you and your kid? Your daughter doesn't care about you yet, Mark, but for you, with your 19-year-old.
Well, I didn't start comedy till she was in high school, a freshman in high school.
So
I know.
where she was old enough to understand what
she
you were
was
saying
old enough
about
to
her.
understand. Well, she's a teenager, so it was like, Mom, ugh. I was just embarrassing. Like my very existence on this planet was embarrassing.
yeah, and then
To
you
her.
stort doing open mics when she's in high school. That sounds horrible for a high schooler.
Oh my God!
Your
can you-
mom's failing at open
Oh,
mics.
yeah, no, and I had
That is
released
rough.
I released a CD and it made the first round of Grammy nods like in 2012. So
Back when
her
the Grammys were
friends-
easier.
Yeah, whatever. But her friends started like sneaking downloading, and she was mortified.
Oh, I bet.
Mortified. Like, can you imagine being in like the end of your middle school, beginning of high school, and your mom? Yeah, she
my mom was a substitute teacher at our school, and that was the most embarrassing thing I could ever imagine is having her be a professional, intelligent person. Like a comic?
I was also her teacher at her small private school. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You ruined her life.
I'm going to have to earn a lot of money for therapy.
Yeah,
for this
she needs
kid.
She might be a good comic, though, someday.
Absolutely.
With that kind of upbringing. That sounds terrible.
Absolutely. Yeah. She would be great on a mic. Right now, she's reticent, but she's starting to get proud, so.
Does she like now that you are good at this, is she supportive or is it still mortifying?
I got to tell you, it's beautiful the way she is. I'd like for it to be funny, but the last show I took her to, she was like, that's my mom. I'm so proud.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's very sweet. It's very sweet.
We are swapping out once again. Good chatting with you.
Thanks, guys.
Tell everybody where they
Thanks for
can
having me.
follow you on social. This is more for comics normally, but
Yeah, I mean, you can hit me. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram if you like pictures of my cat.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm 100% gonna
In
go.
on the cat pics.
I'm definitely gonna go follow you on Instagram for your cat. Great chatting with you. This isn't my show. Just ahead. I don't.
Yeah, this is none of our shows actually.
But you know
we're
what?
just having
It's
fun.
somebody's show.
It's somebody's show.
The original owner of the show. This is like the Dread Pirate Roberts. The original host of the show died, and we're just replacing one at a time, being the new host.
We have taken over the building.
Man, you got so many references. Things.
The goal is
so
to
good
have-
at that.
Yeah, if we can just keep this podcast going until next year's festival, that would be good.
It's a
what I'm hoping.
filibuster.
It is.
Yeah.
I tried to grab more, but they didn't want to. But you said we got like
You're
5
not
more
supposed
minutes.
to be doing that
Okay.
anymore.
Until the computer stops, or
Grabbing more.
Oh, no, the world stops in 3 minutes.
Nobody else.
Silly.
Yeah, the host usually is trying to sell the jokes, but he's not paying attention. So.
I'm not the host.
No, he's more concerned about the power going out on the laptop. Well, the power's okay. Are we good?
we got power?
Does it look like someone's coming in? No. Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. Well, so
Brian is just going through my jacket pockets.
Oh, my
He's
God,
a very
that's
through
amazing.
judge. He's got
well,
He's a very thorough
these
judge.
are cheap headphones.
then
I
we
can't
probably
buy
got to wrap this up so you can make sure you don't get robbed.
Yes.
All right, so going from this way, let's all say who we are, where you can find us, anything special, any other last thoughts?
Yeah, markshalafu.com is my website. Or you can just search iTunes for Think Fast. That's my album that came out in August. We got it to number 2. It was a nice run, and we are not at number 2 anymore. So you can go buy that or listen to it for free on Spotify. That's what I would do.
I think
honestly,
every
but-
comics album has that first spike when you're like,
Yeah, of
pre-order, and then
course.
when it hits, boom, you're like, I'm up at the top 8.
And it's
then
a great
then
few
reality
days
sets
and-
in.
yeah. But it's fun because then I have friends like they didn't crack the top 10. Their spike was only like 12, so you hold that over them.
That's funny. There you go.
That's good.
Yeah, you're a better person than them.
Yeah, exactly.
that.
That's what the algorithms say. So
And that's
you know,
what tonight's going to say, right?
Hell yes, it is.
I haven't put out a CD, but I did write a book last year, and when the day it dropped, it went from being 10 billionth on Amazon to 100,000th, and that was a good spike. Is being in the top 100,000. Mark is leaving. Oh, man, this podcast.
Well, I just gave my plug.
You did.
plugged
I know
my
you have to
website,
go.
I plugged
So
my
Mark's
album,
gonna
so
go.
I'm
We're
done.
going to bring in one more, probably do a little bit
You
more.
can find me on Twitter or whatever.
Okay.
I also.
Whatever.
Find Mark on Twitter. or
Find Mark
whatever.
on Twitter or whatever.
Zac Allen is joining
Hey,
us.
Zach.
I also have got to get going. So if there's a person to swatch with this
Well,
chair,
I will do your.
you're gonna host. You gonna take over?
Let's. We'll figure this out. We'll
Cool,
put
there's
Paul
more
back on
headphones.
it. Yeah, we're good.
That sounds great. I'm Alex Falcone. I got a podcast called Read and Weep where people pay me to watch movies, so you can check that out. Read-weep.com. Thank you guys.
There you go. All right.
Do you want me to wrap it up?
Go
or
for it.
I am MissyHallComedy.com. You'll find me on Instagram and Twitter. And Facebook is Missy G Hall.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
I have an album on iTunes called 50 Shades of 50.
Okay.
And my freshman album is Misrepresentation. Those can be found on, all the normal
Are they also on
sites.
Spotify and all that?
Yes,
On
yes,
Spotify,
yes,
guys,
yes.
make sure to get that. Those plays help.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
It's been
much.
so fun to be here.
It has, right?
Fun show tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
take
So
care.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Zac Allen.
All right, we got one of 2 of the local cats in this competition
Hello, yeah.
from Missoula, right?
Yeah, I'm originally from Laurel, which is like 16 miles away, just west. But I always heard about this growing up and stuff, and it was really cool just to really be a part of it.
What do you mean you heard about it growing up?
Like
He is 13 years old. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh,
I'm slightly older. I'm 22 actually, so it was just getting started like when I was in high school.
let's see here. So I was 2013. Where were you at 2013?
I was a sophomore in high school.
And my career was barely starting. Like, damn, man. He's a sophomore in high school, and I was trying to actually advance my career still.
I mean, you're both on this podcast
Yes.
at the same time.
Yes. So, okay, so you heard about it. When did you find, like, interest in stand-up, and what made you want to do it?
So, like, the big thing, I grew up, like, listening or, like, watching a lot of, like, Chappelle's show and stuff, and that kind of piqued my interest, and then, you know, I followed... The big thing when I was like in middle school is Tosh.0.
Oh, of course.
So I love Daniel Tosh growing up, and he was,
he's hilarious.
Yeah. So just like a lot of that stuff, and I got more into it. And my mom was she loved going to comedy shows around town. So you know, I was under 18 at the time, but anytime I could I could go to a show where it was 18 and under,
You got in?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was one of the, do you remember some of the few first comics, or what comic were you like, this guy, like when you first really started watching, other than Daniel Tosh?
Like Dave Chappelle.
Of course, yeah.
I watched, I never really watched like George Carlin early on in his career, but
yeah. It would be hard for you two, man.
Yeah.
You're 22. I don't know if you know this, Carlin passed away a few years ago.
Yeah. I actually...
He passed away your freshman year.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know who he was really until after he died, and I remember my dad. He was talking about his death, and he was pretty bummed about it. You know, he was a big fan of his, and I was kind of like, who? And then I got more into it. I forgot which special it was. I watched. It was one of his later in life.
There was complaints and grievances, and then the last one was what was it? We're all sick, something like that.
Yeah. I think yeah.
That was the last one, I believe.
Yeah, I watched that one on repeat for a few.
Well,
years.
I'm a big Carlin fan. I think Carlin's the one that I probably. I mean, he obviously has had the most specials.
Yeah.
Right. Even though Cat Williams says differently. But he's probably. I mean, you pick up a Carlin book. He wrote everything, and I'm like, I tell people, pick up Carlin's books, like in order. If you watch it, you'll watch a sentence become a paragraph, become a chapter, become a bit. Like if you read his books, you're like, oh my God, he's been working on this weird notion for so long. So is Carlin, did you get upset? I got obsessive over Carlin.
I haven't, I haven't necessarily gone back and obsessed over him, but I've watched a lot more of his stuff since then.
Yeah.
One guy, I like Kevin Hart. He was kind of the guy.
He was in about this time too. Yeah.
I got his book recently, and I read that like front to cover, like the day of, and it was just crazy. Like that was like one of the first stories like I heard, like somebody's like from the bottom up. Yeah. Because I mean, someone like Carlin, you kind of know him when he's established already. Yeah.
Like there's a moment where it's like he's already established. For as in the stand up. I guess site. I don't even know how to properly say that, but yeah. So Kevin was the guy who's like, I saw this, or like I can actually relate to him because it's recent and things like that.
Yeah, and he was like, I was big into the Scary Movie franchise growing up. Like,
oh, okay, yeah, and he was in it.
And he was one of the guys that like stuck out to that, and like he got a lot of smaller roles, and I had a buddy. Back home, and like that's like what we bonded over is like Kevin Hart and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it.
All right. So how many years you been in it?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. So what have you started to perceive, or what are kind of the guidelines that you are following right now with stand up? Like what's your mindset? What's your theory with stand up?
Yeah. I just try to write as much as possible. I'm a journalism major, so that makes it pretty easy. I get to,
so you know how to meet deadlines.
Yeah. So
I had a buddy, he actually ended up writing for the Jeselnik Offensive, and I think he's writing for Comedy Knockout, and he has written a few shows. And he always told me, he was like, here's the thing, guys. I started with him in Dallas. He's like, I'm not funnier than all of you guys. I just know how to meet deadlines, because he used to work for the Dallas Observer, which was a newspaper, so he was a journalist. He's like, that's the only difference between me and you. is that I know how to get it done.
Yeah, no, it's been stressful a lot of times, like trying to balance. Like it's just a lot of writing and stuff. But it's been really helpful. Like I feel like just like looking, I still have my notes from like when I first started out.
Oh, me too.
And it's like it's crazy like looking at like what I first started writing, and then like as like I evolved like in the journalism program and like from stand up, and it's gotten like tighter and stuff. It's crazy to see like just
the change where you're like, oh my God. Well, you have to go through that. You have to flesh out the system.
Yeah.
You know, you have to go through all the things that you thought were funny to find what you know is what you feel is funny and you know is funny. You know, have you ever read Stephen King's On Writing?
No, I'm too scared to read Stephen King.
No.
I'm terrified of it.
Well, the book is it's his writer's tip book.
Okay.
And in it, there's a lot of tips that I've actually taken and used in stand-up. You know, where he's like, when I present an image, you know, I only give the basic description. I let everyone else fill in what they think it is. Mm-hmm. Like, let's say I throw out an image. He's like, if I throw out an image like, you know, there's a bunny in a cage with a number 9 on it, I let the reader figure out what the bunny looks like, what this looks like, and it's just easier for me. You know, instead of me saying it's a 3x5 cage with a red bunny, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I would recommend reading that book. Also, if you're like into writing, because that one right there really clears up a lot of like, oh my God, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Like if one of his big rules, of course, is your second draft is your first draft minus 10%, right? Which is great. Was exactly jokes. Yeah. You know, your hit jokes are the original thought minus 10% of whatever you filled in there, right? Yeah. And the other thing that he said was, oh God, I'm trying to remember. Oh, like he would shorten people's names. You know, like he's like when he wrote the story 1403, one of the characters was Mr. Oystermeyer, right? And he said, as I started my career, I didn't realize I'd be doing books on tape. And I would look at names like that, like Oystermeyer. I was like, I got to repeat that again and again. So I just changed it to Odin. I just fixed it, right? Anyway, so sorry. That's just something that's in my head. I'm a nerd about writing. Yeah. You know, so go ahead.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of it, actually. But,
okay, well, then we're done.
And well, I have a question about, so obviously we're out here. When you think of comedy mecca, you don't really think of Billings, Montana. You know, so you're someone who's actually out here. I want to know how the comedy scene is out here, and if you've seen a change. I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but if you've seen a change in comedy because of the Big Sky Comedy Festival.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like we have good scenes, like up in Missoula, Bozeman's got a really good scene. Havre, like that's a town of like 9,000 people. They're starting, you know, a pretty good scene up there. They're starting to get some people out there. But it's just, you know, it's tough to find like that stage time. Like we don't get, you know, a whole lot of shows a week. I think you're like guaranteed almost one a week up in Missoula. But other than that, like it's, you know.
Well, you have to train the cities into becoming fans of going to stand-up shows. Yeah. And that takes time. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what, I mean, at least with Billings, Lucas has started that a while ago. So at least that's why there's audiences now. Like last night, the shows were pretty packed for us.
Packed out.
Yeah. And that's thanks to Lucas doing that this years ago. You know? How do you feel like, okay, so you're in Missoula. You said there's a scene out there.
Yeah.
How new is that scene?
It's been going on for a while. The guy that runs it, his name's John, and he's been at it for a while. You know, I think it started probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm not positive on that, but they do like.
So it's just about to get its regulars.
Yeah,
because it takes about 5 years for an establishment to get like steady regulars.
Yeah, like the comedians up there, like they're all pretty regulars, but we don't get a lot of out of towners. Reggie Watts comes by a lot. He's a Montana guy.
Okay.
So he always does a lot for Montana, and that's really cool. But like, yeah, we're starting to get more. They started a show out at the VFW like a month ago or so, and they've. You know, they're starting to get more out of town, you know, booked people to come in.
Yeah.
And hopefully just spread the word. Because we do get good crowds up there, you know?
Yeah.
It's
just getting people there.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see where it goes kind of in the future. I'm going to leave after this year, but you know, I'm excited to see.
Keep up with it. Yeah. I got you. 2 more things. Well, one thing I want to say, and if you have one, what's one of the moments on stage that stand out the most to you that you've had?
So one of this is actually a bad thing. I worked a summer camp out in Maine this summer, and they have cheap flights from Boston to Reykjavik, Iceland. So I spent a week out there, and I contacted one of the guys to do a few shows out there. And the first night I was there, you know, I was confident and stuff. Like I had just taken second in the competition, so I was like, yeah, you know, I got this.
Yeah.
And I went up and like it was an okay, like I did okay, but like just watching the film on myself, like it was just like I did not look confident up there or anything. And so that was like just a huge thing. Like I've been so much more conscious about like just, you know, being confident and, you know,
the presentation of it. Well, you have to.
Yeah.
They have to believe you know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, then I went to it was a roast right after. I didn't know anybody at the roast.
Okay.
And so I went up there and I absolutely bombed. And you know, I walked off stage. I was like, what the heck am I doing out here? You know?
Yeah.
And
you pulled an Alex Falcone.
Exactly.
You were just like, I'm done with this forever.
Yeah.
But then I came back the next night, did a show, and just kind of, you know, I learned a lot from my experience out there, and that was something I didn't expect.
Yeah.
You know, really, like Reykjavik, like that's a weird city to learn a lot about
something.
comedy.
Oh man, we all have those, bro.
Yeah.
We all have those moments like, oh, okay, well, glad that happened out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a story about this 2 comics that went out to an out-of-town gig, bombed, but then they agreed with each other, just say that we killed. Let's just both say that, right? It eventually got back to us because somebody was there who was another comic. They're like, no, they bombed. Yeah. But they came back like, oh, such a great show. We killed.
Yeah. I think I did that with my mom, actually. I think I told her I had a great show. So,
let mom think everything went great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you said that you're still in college right now, right?
Yeah, I graduate in May. Hopefully, if I keep going to class,
which you should. Keep going to class.
Yeah.
So one of the things we talked about here at the festival, I don't know if this was a conversation I had with you, but somebody like we were talking about like kind of like starting out in LA as opposed to starting out outside of LA.
Yeah,
and how it is almost more beneficial for you to be the big fish in a small pond before moving somewhere like that. So
it varies, man. To be honest, it just depends on what your goal is. If you're in this to be a stand-up comic, yeah, it's good to kind of start out because you get a base that's out of LA that you can go back to that helps you survive LA. Mm-hmm. You know, like I started in Dallas, so while I was trying to transition to LA, I knew that I had my base in Texas where I can go make my money, lose it in LA, make my money in Texas, lose it in LA, but keep writing in Dallas and keep coming back to LA. So that helped.
Yeah.
Just having the scene out of LA that I can work on material and this and that. But the guys that are like, I want to get in, it's better for them to start in LA because you will start making friendships and connections from year 1 that will pay off in year 7.
Yeah, that you could use.
Whereas I had to go to LA at year 7 and start making those connections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. For sure. But I caught something that Zac said, and Zac said, you said that for now, you know, that you're leaving. So where are you planning on moving to?
So my mom lives down in Phoenix.
That's a good scene too.
Yeah. Jack Galvin, he's here. And he's been really helpful. Like I met him like probably like after the 10th time I did stand up. And so he's been really cool just like throughout all of this. And like they have a good scene down there. I'll be able to save some money living with my mom. So
yeah. Take advantage, man. Take full advantage.
Yeah, no. She's been great. My parents have been great with this. So that's been really cool. I'm excited to be down there. I didn't like Phoenix at first because of the heat and stuff, but I'm really excited to be down there. I'm looking forward to it.
It's not a terrible drive to LA if you want to go there or flights. Flights are cheaper.
Yeah,
going to like Phoenix and stuff. That's awesome, man. So what now? Let's fast forward a little bit, right?
Mhm.
So you're in Phoenix. What's the move after that?
I just really like. I'm kind of someone who's like, I try to do short-term goals and then kind of reevaluate where I'm at. My original plan was I was just going to go to LA right away, but I don't, I got to get more stage time, and that's kind of the thing. I just got to keep working on it. And I think Phoenix is going to be a great place to do that and just kind of improve and hopefully, make a jump to a larger market. LA's right there. Even like Chicago or New York, I'm just kind of gonna see where it goes after that.
Nice. And do you have any idea of like, are you trying to make a career? Obviously, there's really few like just like pure stand-up comics now, but what are some of your interests? Kind of like, do you want to write for a TV show? Do you want to get into like, what are you trying to get into using your comedy?
Honestly, I want to be the best that I can at stand-up.
That's the best way to approach it, to be honest. I rephrase that question a lot. I'm like, whose career do you wish you could have? Like, who's the one and I take away all humbleness. What is like to you, like, that's what I want?
Brian Baldinger.
Like, who is it? It's a great career.
Honestly.
And be 100% honest. I'll tell you mine while you think. I think a top career to have is like a Sandler, in the sense of he is able to do anything he wants, produce anything he wants, and hook up his friends. Comedy wise is a Chappelle, where it's like people just want to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, we're here to hear you.
Yeah.
And it's fucking amazing. Like that to me is like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to walk on stage and people are like, we want to hear your thoughts. You are our stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
So is there somebody's career like this guy?
Honestly, you said Dave Chappelle. That like one of the biggest things with him is like the show,
Yeah.
To be able to have like that creativity to, pump out a show and have sketch comedy. Because I love sketch comedy. Like I'm minoring in theater and like I like improv a great deal. And but one of the guys that really came to mind is Pete Davidson. He's a guy. He does SNL.
Yeah.
He's touring the country. Obviously, he's still really young in his career.
No, he is. Yeah.
But
he's becoming more of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this as advice: always keep that in mind, right? About when I was at a year in Dallas, there's this guy that was like a year and a half in who was recording a documentary, quote unquote, about the Dallas comedy scene, and he went to each comic and asked them where they see themselves in 5 years. And one comic was like, I just want to be funny. One comic was like, I hope to be writing on a show. Another comic was like, I want to be famous. And one was like, oh no, I just hope to get a gig or whatever, right? 5 years later, the guy that said, I just want to be funny was funnier. The guy that said, I want to write a show was the guy that ended up writing for Anthony Jeselnik Offensive, this and that. The guy that said famous, he's been on the Goldbergs. We Bought a Zoo. He's been on Gotham. He's not famous, but he got in there. And the one that said, I just want a gig, is no longer doing comedy. So, it's like really keep the humbleness in front, but keep that in your heart, and that'll really push you. Always keep saying, this is what I want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's my one, like, from what I've seen in this time, it's that the people that are like, this is what I want, that manifest it. It's wild.
Yeah. One of I guess kind of piggyback off of that. I use a lot of I played basketball for a long time.
Okay.
And one of the things that's really kept me going is I worked hard in basketball, but I didn't work that hard. Obviously, I ended up I redshirted a year at Rocky Mountain College in Billings. Go Battling Bears! And I kind of ended my freshman year. I kind of evaluated. I didn't see myself going any further with it, and I've kind of used that like with comedy. Like I didn't work hard enough in basketball, and I didn't really get what I wanted out of it. So I kind of gotta, this is a second chance, really. To find a dream.
Yeah. Well, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
You got to be obsessive over it.
Yeah.
And it's wild. Like it becomes your passion, and people have to understand that. You know, 2 examples. I read the SNL book, the Live from New York, right, which interviewed the whole cast from like the beginning to the 2000s. And Sandler was the one that actually said, he's like, oh yeah, me, Rock, and Farley would talk about comedy so much we lost so many girlfriends because of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, but we loved it. We just loved talking about comedy, everything that we could, comedy. And there's this thing on the internet about historical letters, right, that I read once. And there's this historical letter from that Slash at 16 wrote to a girlfriend, right? An ex-girlfriend, right? So he was 16. And in the letter, he's like, hey, Mandy, what's up? You know, sorry it didn't work out between you and you. I guess you're right. Maybe I talk about my guitar too much. Maybe I play to it too much. And I don't know, maybe I should focus on some other things, but you know, like it's cool. I'm happy for you and Jason. You know, you're dating my friend. That's fine. You know, it was a fun time dating, you know, but, thanks for everything, Mandy. Bye. But it was like, in it, he's like obviously obsessing over this fucking guitar.
Yeah.
Loving it. And that's why he's Slash.
Yeah. And
you know,
it worked out in the end for him.
Worked out in the end.
Yeah.
There's a ton of Mandys. I think her name was in one of the songs that they eventually wrote. I think so. I'm not quite sure though.
Maybe. And speaking of the end, we have reached the end of the Comedy Papa podcast. Zac Allen, I want to thank you for coming on. Can you go ahead and plug your social media? Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram as Notorious ZAC. And
there you go.
Instagram Notorious ZAC 42. I couldn't get the plain one on that one. But
Damn.
yeah.
Just added the Jackie Robinson number at the end.
Yeah.
42.
And if I can, I'd like to thank you guys for having me on here, and just you know, it's been awesome like having this in Montana. Like this is my home state.
Yeah,
so,
brother.
This really has meant a lot to me, and I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
And I'm, of course, Nick Guerra. You can find me at Nick Comic. You can listen to my other podcast, Time with Nick and Johnny.
On the CPU Podcast
on
Network.
the Comedy Pop-Up Network. And Paul, go ahead and say your stuff.
Yeah, well, first I want to thank the sage of stand-up, Nick Guerra. You're one of my favorite people to talk to,
thanks,
and just being able to have conversations with you this whole festival has been dope. But I want to give a big thanks to the Big Sky Comedy Festival, everybody that's involved with it, from Wayne, Lucas, who's chilling in the back, Augie Smith, who else? Jessa, Natasha Pearl Hansen, just everybody, Uriah, everybody involved with the festival for inviting us out here and letting us do our thing while we're out here. If you want to find me, you can find me at the Paul Antonio, and also listen to my other podcast, Spaced Out, which is also on the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast Network.
Yeah.
It's been like, oh yeah. Do you want to do?
Go ahead.
You do the outro. I'll give you.
Yeah. Keep listening. Keep on rocking, comedy podcasters. We love you. Bye-bye.